Alright, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today's video, what are we doing? I don't really know. It's raining. I'm not that sure what to do. What the hell is that?
What are you
doing?
You're enjoying your life.
What are you on? What?
Enjoy your life.
What?
Enjoy fucking life.
Alright then, fine. So the year is 1993. My mum and dad are married, they're together, they already have one son called Lewis. He's 2 years old. And around this time, my mum is pushing me out of her, but you get the idea. I was born a disgusting blue and yellow bruised up baby. I don't know what was wrong with me. I've heard the story that I just looked kind of insane when I was coming out. Maybe that's too much information. When I was growing up, I was a crazy kid. I learned to run before I could walk, I was always climbing, and I was always getting hurt. When I was 4, my dad taught me to ride a bike for the first time. I picked it up fast, and in nursery we had a bike race. I won, obviously. I did a wheelie. None of the other kids could even ride a bike. I felt like a king. I started getting into extreme sports as a kid, and I was always doing stunts. And it was around this time when I was about 5 that my little brother was born. His name was Aaron. And coincidentally, around this time, my parents started having a lot of trouble. So they decided to split up, and my dad would live in one house, my mom would live in the other. We would all live with my mom, and we would see my dad occasionally over the next couple of years. But for my mom, raising 3 young crazy boys, money was tight, so we decided to move into a smaller house in the countryside, and that is where I spent most of my childhood years. I started at this tiny primary school. There was only like 25 people in. There was one teacher for 4 grades. We all shared the same classroom. But it was at this school I met 3 of my childhood best friends, Jamie, Scott, and Angus. We don't really hear or see Angus anymore. I don't really know what happened to that guy. Primary school was a lot of fun though. I was the popular kid. I was friends with everyone. All 25 of them at least. When I wasn't at school, I was outside playing in the forest, which was around our house. My brothers and my friends would spend all day, every day outside, getting up to no good. Like this one time we threw clay at a car windscreen, it smashed, and the guy screamed at us, chased us, and I cried. I'll be honest, I cried. And there was this one time where me and my brother pushed Scott down a cliff. He knocked himself out on a rock at the bottom. We just told his parents that he fell. And it was around this time where my dad actually taught me how to backflip. Yeah, that's right. My dad taught me how to backflip. Because you know, he used to actually do gymnastics for the Queen. That's not even a joke. I started high school in 2005. I was 13 at the time, younger than most of the other kids. This school was a lot bigger than my other school, and I felt like I didn't really know anyone there coming from such a small school. Got in with the bad crowd immediately. I thought being a bad kid in school would make me cool. And it kind of did, to be honest. I eventually became quite popular and started hanging out with the bad crowd a little bit less, and it was around this time I started getting more and more into extreme sports. I was into skateboarding, BMX, mountain biking, all sorts of things, and I was actually pretty good at all of them. And it was around this time I started watching a lot of Jackass and CKY. Bam Margera was my idol at the time. Me and my friends started filming stupid Jackass stunts on a potato quality phone. I really wish I could still find those videos. They are hilariously bad. That is when I met my friend's older brother. He could do a standing backflip on the ground. And seeing that for the first time, that's when my life started to change. So I took my mattress off my bed, I dragged it outside onto the grass, and I taught myself to backflip. From what I remember, it took me a couple of hours, but what I do remember is when I landed it for the first time, I landed every single one since then, and I've never had problems landing it since. Christmas 2007 came along, and I had a choice between some money towards buying a small dirt bike, I was into Travis Pastrana as well, or getting myself a cheap video camera. I went with the video camera. Right when I got the camera, my friend Ross was actually giving away a trampoline and I didn't have one at the time, so he hooked me up with it. So if you're watching this, Ross, you're probably not, but thank you, because that's kind of how I got into tricking. I made a YouTube account called kyleslyf123 and I started making trampoline videos. You guys might not know this, but back in the early days of 2008, I was actually considered quite good on the garden tramp. You know, that was back when double back was actually a hard thing. I would also do flips on the ground, but I really much preferred trampoline. And then it wasn't until this random guy added me on MSN. I think he got my email from my YouTube, the little creep. His name was Sean. You see, Sean was from Scotland too. He lived about 2 hours away from me in Edinburgh. We were both around 14 or 15 at the time, and Sean did this thing called tricking. It was like my trampoline flips, but all sorts of ground and kicks and stuff that I really thought was kind of lame. Either way, we decided to meet up in Edinburgh to do flips together, and it was my first time going to a gymnastics gym. I loved it. And actually there I met some other trickers, and it was at that point onwards I decided I was going to try out tricking and see how good I could get. I pretty much stopped going to school completely. All I wanted to do was trick. My attendance dropped below 30% and I stopped hanging out with a lot of my friends. I eventually left school and started college. I was studying interactive media and web design, but after about 8 months I dropped out and decided to pursue my career as a tricker. So in the UK you get money for going to college. I saved up a bunch of that and I went to my first gathering in Germany. It's 2010 Giga Gathering. Now it was amazing. It was around this time I started actually getting kind of good at tricking, and I started to travel more and more with it. I went to Finland, I went to Poland. By 2011 I'd amassed 4,000 YouTube subscribers. I know, big deal, pretty big deal. In the summer of 2011 I went to America for the first time by myself with 10 random other trickers from the internet. We went on a 2-month road trip all across America, east coast to the west coast, and in this time I met the best trickers in the world and became friends with them. And just hanging out with the best trickers in the world, my tricking leveled up massively. Finally, it put me on the map of the tricking world. When I got home, I made a sampler called kyleslyf America Summer 2011, and it changed my life. Suddenly I was getting gathering invites all over the world. It was a good time until I was due to fly to America for another gathering. Hours before my flight I was having a session on wet grass. I did double A twist, my ankle slid under me and I snapped my ankle bad. It was the worst injury I've ever had and it genuinely ruined my life. 6 months later and it still hadn't recovered, I actually got my first job offer for a full-time job working in a web design agency as a designer. I loved it. I really did. I had money for the first time in my life, but at the end of the day, I hate being on someone else's time schedule. I'm really bad at being told what to do. So after 8 months working at that job, I quit. I decided to start freelancing. I was still designing websites, but it was for me. I was now my own boss, and it was exactly what I needed. My tricking started getting better, and my life started to get back on track. I was having fun again. But overall, 2012 was just a bad year. So let's move on. Fast forward to 2014. I decided to combine both of my passions of graphic and web design and tricking. Plan Zero was born. Now you guys gotta understand, when I started Plan Zero, it was just a clothing brand. It was small, but a lot of trickers really liked the products I was making. In 2015, I was fed up with the lack of gyms where I lived, so me and Sean decided it was time that we moved from Scotland, and around this time, it also just so happened Kojo and Omid were also trying to move out. They were two friends of ours from England. Our friend Nathan has his own tricking gym in Birmingham, so we decided let's all move out there and start a UK tricker house, and thus the Garrison was born. We officially moved out in October 29th, 2015, and in January 2016, that is when I made the Plan Zero YouTube account. You know, the one that you're on now? That one? The big one? The good one? The great one? Yeah. 2016 was a really great year. I decided to set myself really difficult goals. By the end of the year, I wanted to get 2,500 subscribers on YouTube. I wanted to make one video every Friday and call it a Plan Zero episode. And I also wanted to leave the country at least one time every month. After an amazing year, I had 3,000 subscribers. I had visited over 15 countries. And towards the end of the year, I started to vlog. And that's when things really started to change. The channel started to grow a lot faster. Videos were getting a lot more views, I was getting a lot more subscribers, and for the first time ever, I was actually starting to make money from YouTube. So coming into 2017, I took the risk. I was going to quit freelancing and focus all of my efforts on growing Plan Zero, growing the clothing and the YouTube. I spent 2017 training harder than ever, taking my tricking to new heights, getting better than I've ever been. I made over 300 videos, I hit my goal of 100,000 subscribers, I got 10 million views on the channel, and for the first time in my whole entire life, I became financially stable, doing what I love every day. And the best part is, I know this is just the beginning. I have no intention of stopping now. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed my story. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more, and check back tomorrow for more videos. I'll see you guys then.